In this video, I'm going to be discussing if it fits your macros versus clean eating. Hi, my name is Mark Atobri, owner and founder of Enterprise Fitness. So let's talk about if it fits your macros and clean eating. It is a hotly contested debate, and a debate that frankly, I think isn't the real debate, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But first, let's start with the origins of if it fits your macros. So if it fits your macros started on a bodybuilding forum. The initialism started on a bodybuilding forum when the question was posed, can I eat that? And the response was, if it fits your macros. And it was kind of asked so many times by so many different people that it just got easier to say, if it fits your macros. Now, if you say to someone in the if it fits your macros cult that, you really shouldn't be eating that jelly beans or those Pop-Tarts, the answer will be met with ferocious flying of PubMed studies that are showing you that, a calorie fundamentally is a calorie, and you can lose weight on whatever diet as long as it meets those calorie parameters. And whilst they're also burning little doles of Gary tabs. On the flip side, you have the insulin hypothesis, which basically states, and was championed by Gary Tabbs in his book, A Calorie is Not a Calorie, which basically states that carbohydrates more or less are the reason why people get fatter. Now, in more recent time, there was a metabolic ward study that kind of really supported the notion that a calorie is a calorie and showed that the work of Gary Tabbs was, not 100% accurate. And this led to all kind of wildfire in the internet of the told you so, a calorie is a calorie. But I think in this debate, the problem is that, one, we're not really debating a calorie is a calorie. What we're really debating is what is healthy. And what I mean by that is people constantly say you shouldn't demonize food and what is healthy. And I think the other thing that people have forgotten in this debate is who they are actually talking to, because if it fits your macros is built on the premise of calorie counting. So for the general public, the normal person, when was the last time you saw someone walk into a restaurant, whip out their scales and weigh their chicken? It's not going to happen. So who they're talking to, who this advice is relevant for. So I think for a lot of people who are on the if it fits your macros plan, there's a healthy user bias, and a healthy user bias where people are already doing the right things. But there is the bias that people are already training hard. They're already doing a lot of things very, very well. And this is kind of the icing on the cake where they're able to include different foods. And certainly for the most part, they're not just eating crap. They're constructing their diet quite sensibly and then, leaving some wiggle room for different foods in their diet. But again, it's built on the premise that you are going to measure and weigh all your food. But here is the dichotomy, and the problem that I have is you can consider that an eating disorder. So if you're going out and calorie counting in and of itself, if you're counting your calories, that can be considered eating disorder. So can the only things that you eat is chicken and broccoli, and that can be considered an eating disorder. So where is the line where you can eat anything you want as long as you track and measure everything? Or, if you only stay away from these foods and you just eat kind of clean foods and, happy days because you can eat these clean foods and you don't have to track, where they're both disorders. So it really becomes then a matter of perspective, but then a matter of what is healthiest. And I think if we really look at it, a calorie isn't really just a calorie. It's like saying a dollar is just a dollar. Yes, a dollar is a dollar, but in business, a dollar of profit is much better than a dollar of turnover. And if you're $1 million profit business compared to $1 million turnover business, they're two different businesses fundamentally. So in saying a calorie is a calorie, certainly a calorie from wild salmon is going to have a whole host of properties and nutrients in it that a calorie from jelly beans just simply won't. So common sense tells us that a calorie is not a calorie because simply there are nutrients that we are getting from wholesome natural food. So again, coming back to this point of who are we talking to, I really think that if it's for the general public, a clean eating message or a message of eating proper foods is a much better. And I think if it fits your macro message to the general public is frankly irresponsible. And why is it irresponsible? Again, for the points that no one is whipping out their scales and no one is weighing everything. If you're a bodybuilder or a drug dealer, potentially you have a few scales at your home, but they're the only two types of people that buy food scales, frankly. On the other hand, it's much easier and digestible for people to understand, hey, eat things that are hunted, eat things that are fished, eat things that are plucked. Very, very simple piece of advice. And for a lot of people, again, it becomes a matter of perspective. This is why things like a keto plan, people just saying, I'm just going to remove carbohydrates from my diet and just eat fat and protein. For them, that's easier than weighing all their food. So again, can you have results on if it fits your macros plan? Yes, obviously, people have had results on that plan and they continue to get results because they follow the parameters. But it's no way more superior than someone who is eating wholesome natural foods. Again, we've got to look at what the purposes of each of them are and fundamentally break down that we're all in this together and it needs to be less about cultism of who is right and helping people. And hey, look, I would love to speak to an If It Fits Your Macros expert. So if you've enjoyed this kind of thoughts and ramblings of mine, feel free to share this on the gram because I'd love to do a podcast on a really intellectual discussion on what is health. Where is the line of demonizing food versus a calorie is a calorie? Because I think that is the bigger issue at play here in terms of is it okay to don't demonize certain foods in the aspect of people being able to create control over what they're eating? And again, we can look at calorie counting as an unhealthy behavior. So who's right? Again, I really think this is where perspective is going to kind of trump all and whose perspective. But again, I don't think we're going to get to any kind of conclusions anytime soon because even if we look at blood work, which is very, very objective, blood work in different countries is also different. If we look at testosterone ranges in Australia versus testosterone ranges in Canada or the UK, they're different. If you look at vitamin D ranges, hell, over time, vitamin D referent ranges have changed. It's not because people are any less or more healthy. It's because they've changed because people are actually, in fact, getting sicker. And what they have to do is aggregate the scores of everyone who's coming in. Same thing for the definition of constipation. Is the definition of constipation used to be if you didn't go to the toilet every day. Now it's if you don't go to the toilet every second day because public health. It saved money in terms of people buying laxatives more so. So folks, let me know in the comments below what you think of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Till next time, folks, my name is Mark Atobri and train hard, eat well, and supplement smart.